I wasn't in addiction for that long, to be honest. I still dream about the consumption of heavy drugs. Boxing pulls me out of that struggle. I've got a reason to dedicate. I didn't really have anyone because I was a liability. I'd rob them. Got to the point where I hated myself. Ultimately, like I met my fiance now, and when I realized that somebody else cared about me, pump it, Soreheads.
You're tuned into the Better Bloke podcast. I'm Matty.
And I'm Rob.
We're just a couple of average blokes who started a charity with one simple mission: to fuck off suicide as the leading cause of death for Aussie men our own age.
We talk shit, ask the big questions, and chat with guests that have been through the ringer and have come out the other side with a story that's worth hearing.
All right, let's get stuck in. Cheers for tuning in again.
Oh yeah, you're going to nail this one. I can feel it.
Feel it? Thanks, bro. Cheers for tuning in, guys. Welcome back. And before we rip into this week's episode, I wanted to just remind everyone that this isn't just a podcast. This is a charity. If you do come back week after week, it will go a long way to jumping on the website, checking out the donate page, because all the stuff we do outside of the podcast doesn't do itself. So any help is much appreciated. Over to you, Rob.
And if you don't want to just donate, you actually want something for it, these fresh shirts are available over on betterblokeproject.org. Now, today's guest, we didn't want to catch a fade with him, so we brought him in to chat. We still might catch a fade, but we're here with the one and only Jock Boxing. How you going, brother?
Legends. Thanks for having me, bro. Boys, whatever. It's been out. You know what? It's been out seeing two people, like, while you know what I mean?
You just do a one-on-one?
Yeah, or like I just normally, if I'm talking to me bro, we'll just like talk to the computer screen or whatever, but it's just a different dynamic, you know?
Yeah, don't stress about the cameras. That's just intro shit.
Yes.
So now it's just a conversation on couches.
Yeah.
It's just talking shit with the boys. That's all it is.
No, thanks for having us, Legends.
So, for those that don't know you, I mean, I'm sure most people would, because you're just this mad guy cruising around the internet, just punching on with anyone and everyone.
Yeah, well, it sort of developed to that, you know? It wasn't always designed to be that. I guess me and my brother we've got a bit of a potty or whatever. It's not much, but like I just tried to figure out a way that I can sort of just better myself, because I was finding that like I find it too easy to just slip into comforts, you know, just eat shit food, lay up on the couch, not train, put weight on, you know, find excuses to get on the piss or run amok. And I, like, my brother's the same. We're both degenerates, so we're just like trying to figure out a way that that we can turn the Soreheads into a positive thing, you know, and influence others to do better. And it started by an overweight pothead getting ready for the hood contender or a backyard fight, and I guess it's just developed to that. Like I as it got closer to the hood contender, which is an awesome thing. The hood contender, I don't know if anybody doesn't know what it is. It's just basically 16 blokes get together in a backyard or in some sort of, you know, I guess underground, you know, atmosphere, and they all punch on, and it's like an elimination tournament. I love it because it reminds me of like old school fighting. When I grew up watching like UFC 1. I grew up a big Dragon Ball Z fan, you know, like Naruto, all that sort of shit. So I just frothed it, and me and my brother we both loved it. So I thought, I'm going to get ready to fight in it. That's the go. That'll, you know, anytime I've got a fight lined up or something big happening like that, I'll just train my guts out, and I've got a reason to dedicate, you know. Just like trying to
man on a mission type stuff.
Yeah.
So before that, were you just straight up boxing? Is that sort of your background?
I started boxing as a young fella. Like, my dad had a gym. I'm from Dubbo, New South Wales, way out in the scrub. And my old boy had a boxing gym. So we just grew up in and out of the boxing gym. But I was never a real big fan of it. It wasn't until I got a bit older, I sort of stopped playing footy and got into boxing. And but yeah, I've always struggled with it because it takes a whole lot of sacrifice, a whole lot of discipline. And like I said, you know, I'm a degenerate at heart. So
you just want to run amok the whole time instead.
Exactly. Yeah. And well, when it's the weekend and the boys are calling you, and you know, it's like there's action going on, and you know, I was like pretty young at the stage when I started getting into boxing, started competing, like 19, 20, 21. And yeah, I just found it too easy to run amok. So I'd fall in and out of it, and then I locked in, and I was doing real well, and I got hit by a car in 2017, and I like broke my back, broke multiple vertebrae, and sort of messed me up a bit. But the thing that messed me up the most was like they said, "Oh, you can't work, you can't do this and that, and you can put in a claim, or you can get workers' comp, you can get benefits if you just if you wait it out." And then you start thinking like a cripple. You start like thinking, oh, I can't train, I can't get better, I can't, I'll keep taking the prescriptions because I know that they'll look at that sort of shit. Like when it goes to court or whatever, they'll look at prescriptions, they'll look at how much I was able to work in all that time spent. So you start acting a cripple. And then, I fell into pretty heavy substance abuse during that period. And like ultimately, I went to rehab a few years after that. I wasn't, I wasn't in addiction for that long, to be honest, but it only took me sort of 18 to 24 months to lose everything, and, I was sort of left, no one would talk to me, you know what I mean? I'd find reasons to go and rob people or to do bad shit just to sort of to get by, to get drugs, to do whatever, and then eventually like I came out of it, but I didn't have anything, I had nothing to my name, so I threw myself back into boxing, and I realized that at that point, boxing's always going to be the thing that keeps me in line, that stops that degenerate from taking over, So I've been in it, to answer your question, I've been in and out of boxing for a long time, but this time I've decided like I'm gonna stick with it. So I've tattooed Soreheads across my forehead, and started this content journey, started the podcast with my brother, and I've decided like I'm gonna commit to it 100%. That way I can't turn my back on it.
Everyone knows you for you pump at Soreheads. What is Soreheads?
Yeah, so Soreheads is like, and a lot of people spin out about this, but Soreheads is just like I said, man, I'm a fighter at heart. I love to fight, and as a result of fighting, you get left with a sore head. But that's only short term. It's temporary. When that goes away, I'm still an addict at heart. I'm still, I still dream about the consumption of heavy drugs. I still cop messages and all these sorts of things from different people that I've owed money to, that I've done wrong by, or different people trying to chase different things or whatever, but the shadows of that sort of lifestyle still haunt me as well, which leaves me with a sore head. And I also battle demons that probably most blokes that have never had an issue with consumption or substance also struggle with, which is just the inner demon of a man, how should I provide? How can I provide better? How can I mean for more? How can I be better than I was yesterday? I think every man sort of struggles with that same thing. And whether or not like me and my brother are different, I don't think so, because everyone sort of resonates with pump at Soreheads, I guess. But yeah, it basically just means somebody that's just fighting demons, brother,
Everyone's got demons.
Yeah.
Everyone. It just depends on what those demons are.
And the ways of dealing with it. Which
Yeah.
you've sort of tried a few different things. And
Yeah.
it sounds like you're onto a proper one now.
Well, everyone's got a different way to deal with something, and the whole thing about the Soreheads is, like, we're not telling everyone to go and fight, like it would have been scary for you boys to commit 100% to this podcast and to doing, better blokes and funneling your energy into that. It would have been scary, but ultimately you're gambling on yourself, because without showing courage, like what you can't have success. Courage is the most important virtue of a man, and that's what we stand for. Is just like, whether or not it's painting or it's like talking or it's fighting, we don't care. Just get out there and pump it. That's what we're about.
It sounds like it's a kind of guiding light too. Once you have that purpose, like, you've got the dedication to the boxing, all those things are probably something you were lacking earlier on, and that's when you get a little bit off the rails.
Yeah.
So giving yourself something that you're passionate about and just committed to, I think goes an awful long way for the guys that are a little bit lost.
I think that's a hard thing as well, is like, I always thought, there was a bunch of different avenues you can take as a young man, and I never really knew what I wanted to do. And it wasn't until I got older, and for me, like, fighting is just what comes naturally for me. I've been exposed to it for so long. I hated it as a kid growing up. Like, my dad owned a gym. My brother's 6 years older than me, used to flog me all the time. He'd want me out in the backyard in the boxing gloves, and he wouldn't take it easy. So I was always looking to get away from it. But as I got older, it was just what I knew, and it's what comes naturally, and it's where I feel comfortable. So I'm like, well, if I throw myself, like, it's not like it doesn't scare me though. It's not like doing it doesn't make me more afraid than most anything else. But it's like, I'll choose to do that because that is where I find my satisfaction. That's where I get my achievement. That's what drives me to be the best me, is that fear of failure or underperforming or getting my head punched in.
It's such a weird thing. I think we sort of, like, Maddie and I almost spoke about this a little while ago, is that gratification you get from, like, even just sparring. It's this weird, unless you've done it, you can't explain it.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, I want you to throw some gloves on, like, really bad, just so you can,
Yeah, should we go into that chat you and I had yesterday and see what his take is?
Yeah, well, we can do that.
All right, so this is the thing. We've had a bunch of fighters on the podcast now.
Yeah.
UFC guys, boxers, MMA guys, whatever. Bare Knuckle, Hayes came on. After talking to all of these guys, I'm starting to see, okay, there's a common thread happening here. And I've never been into fighting myself. I've never trained it, never done anything like that. But I understand there's a lot that comes with it in terms of discipline, self-confidence, having a bit of confidence in yourself to handle a situation, maybe look after people around you. I wanted to know, what do you think would be, if you could choose one discipline, what should I train? Because I think it'd be an interesting exercise to go and do it, get myself involved in it, and then from someone's...
Yeah, this is a difficult one, man. I think all combat disciplines are great. Some are like more beneficial in terms of like self-defense or confidence or those sorts of things. I think to compete in boxing, you need to show a whole lot of self-control and discipline, and it's pretty terrifying. I think mixed martial arts is probably a degree or a step above it. The only difference is when it comes to boxing, it's like such like small, minute, little tiny details that are broken down. So it's like there's so many variables in mixed martial arts, and some of these other things, like boxing is literally just footwork and throwing hands and moving your head. So it's literally breaking down the science. That's what it is. It's like you could spend so long thinking about one thing and not understanding the process, and all of a sudden the penny drops, and it's like it's almost like spiritual or like, I don't know. It's like a meditation. And when you say chuck the glove, you're wanting to chuck the gloves on. It definitely is an experience that is like nothing else. Yeah. I've grappled before. I've, thrown kicks before. I've done, different martial arts. And I'm biased because I've grown up around boxing, but I reckon boxing for a beginner, somebody that's just starting out, but especially a male, like I got my daughter into jiu-jitsu and things like that, but a male, I think, it's a great sport to get around.
Same answer as Rob. So
Again, maybe bias.
maybe bias.
And that's why I've got my son in
So
it.
we're going to have to ask a few more people.
Well, ask some mixed martial arts boys and that, but ultimately, if you're looking to compete,
Not compete. Definitely like self-defense / handling a situation.
See, and this is where
compete is where it gets like sort of funny, because it's like, compete on what level? If you're just going to do drills, but as soon as you do sparring, you're competing.
Okay.
Like
That's
that
part
to
of the
me
training,
is,
right?
yeah, but there's competition within. Like, it's like if you're playing football, like what sort of sports did you play growing up?
Basketball at school, then I got
Yeah.
really into my motorbikes and mountain biking.
Yeah. So
race-
even when you're riding with a friend, there's like friendly competition.
Yeah.
Even when you're like playing basketball and you're at basketball training, there'll be team A and team B. You'll split and you'll play each other. you know, and it's competitive, and like it doesn't have the same intensity as the game, just like a fight. But that, like you're saying, throw the gloves on and have the experience of sparring. That is like almost like a spiritual experience. Yeah.
Interesting. All right, audience. So you can hold me accountable to that, because I did say I don't know if it's going to be boxing or MMA or whatever, but I am going to try something out and see how we go.
Do it, and then we'll punch on.
Yeah, I've seen your last fight.
Yeah, as long as it's not in front of thousands of people, I back myself. You know.
Well, this is why, like, I love boxing so much because of that reason. It's so easy to get people involved. There's also like virtually no injuries. You can go down to jiu-jitsu and roll, and then all of a sudden you go home and there's some sort of lingering issue that's happened. Boxing's like very safe, and people say like, oh, people like my grandma, they always worry about boxing and, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. And then like my other cousins are riding horses, and I'm like, what? There's so many more deaths related or injuries related to horse racing than there is to, to boxing. It's just that boxing is a bit of a degenerate sport. People look down on it because it comes from the streets and the gutters. And horse racing is, it's all about money and hierarchy and, all that sort of bullshit. But the horse racing didn't exist in the Olympics. The first ever Olympic sport was wrestling, and the number 2 was boxing. And it's existed since the beginning of time. And that's why I say it's spiritual. It's because, and this is a bit of like bro science, but this is how I honestly feel.
We love bro science.
Yeah. This is how I feel about it. Is like, if I'm, say right now there is more suicide than there ever has been in history. There is also more awareness around men's mental health than there ever has been in history. So as we become more aware of mental health, we also have a higher percentage of suicide. And I'm like thinking about it. Why is this happening? Like a lot of my friends, they'll overdose, and they've killed themselves. Like, and it's happened to a lot of different people. Everyone's, sort of, it happens now so much where everyone's got a mate that it's happened to. And I'm diving deep into this thinking, how is this happening? And why does boxing bring me out of that? Like there's been times where I've been, caught on drugs. I've been in dark places, and boxing pulls me out of that struggle. And I'm like, for thousands of years, men have gotten together and we've protected tribes, and we've gone and hunted animals, and we've got on a boat and gone across the ocean to fight a battle together for 6, 12, 24 months, who knows how long. We don't know if we're ever going to come home, see our family. That's what men were designed and have been designed to do since the beginning of evolution. So as time advances, and like even 100 years ago, 200 years ago, there were wars, and men would get together. And I'm not an advocate for war at all, or for violence, but as men would get together, and we go to war, or we go and hunt, we would have that experience where men got together, we talked, there was no vulnerability, there was no judgment, there was just men getting together and having the spiritual experience, which was doing what we're designed to do, which is fight, and in some capacity, and now there's no need for that, and sort of what made men is sort of tossed to the side, and
it's almost cursed now.
Yeah.
I'm going to take it one step further, because it's not just the actual fighting and that violent side.
Are you about to say the P word?
No. What's the P word?
Purpose.
No, I'm not. It's physical exertion, right?
Yeah.
If you take it back 100 years, most men were in physical jobs, right? They were factory workers. They were working whatever they were doing. They were farming. They had to do a lot more physical stuff. So we live in such a comfort society now that all of that stuff's taken away. Not just the fact that we have cushy jobs, but we drive everywhere. We get someone to do our gardening, or whatever it is. So when you don't do physically hard stuff, it's called hormesis when you do. And it's a neurochemical reaction in your brain, which essentially fights off depression and these bad thoughts. So fighting's like one side of it,
Yeah.
but it's also
The
all that
other
other
is
physical shit
exertion.
that men used to do.
Well, this is the other part that to the bro science that sort of links it together is now there's no gratification for somebody that does do those things, whether or not it's just physical exertion because it's, just you training and somebody says, oh, well, that's great for you and your body, but you decided to do that, or whether or not it's like going and fighting battles. Like, because back in the day, everyone that went to war was commended for it. Everyone that ever went and hunted and brought back meat for the tribe was commended for it. And that was their purpose. And now when men are looked down upon because they're violent or they show aggression or, they hold themselves with a certain demeanor, then, and I'm not going to be sexist and say just women, but there's also like a large population of men that also look down on people like that. And I don't really know how to...
A lot of males look down on people like that. We won't call them men.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Well,
Yeah, I fucking said that, and I stand on it.
No, fair. You shouldn't look down on people.
on anyone.
should.
That's right. On anyone. And it doesn't matter whether or not you find that war through literally fighting, and I always I advocate sanctioned fighting. Go and find a coach, get involved in your boxing community and start from there. Like, don't go and pick fights on the street. No one, I don't condone any of that sort of stuff, but ultimately there was always men that did other things as well. And this is more bro science, but there was always that 100% of the men never went to war. There was always blokes that even if you go further back, there were people that had to stay home and farm, and there was people that had to blacksmith and all sorts of stuff. So it's not like everyone is a fighter. I don't expect everyone to be, but there's just no gratification for the male that is willing to do that, and there's no purpose for it either, apart from his own, which is clarity.
We do talk to a lot of women that seem to hold that stuff of value as well, like a woman who treats their man as a protector. There's still plenty of those girls out there too. I feel like we've spoken to plenty like that.
Yeah, we've spoken to a lot of the women that we actually speak to that I guess they do put that up there as a high priority, and I guess when they're looking for a partner or they've found their partner.
Yeah, but way less common than what it would have been back in the day.
Yeah, and like their roles have sort of changed, as well. Like, my grandfather would have had different roles than my grandmother. So like, as civilization changes, as the modern era changes, everybody else's responsibilities and the way that people interact, then things are going to change. But I think it's important for men to be reminded that to show courage is one of the biggest virtues that a man can show, and to stand on your business and to be about your word is what the Soreheads love to push for. That's what we're all about. So I just hate the fact that it's almost forgotten, and men fight their battles by themselves and they don't like to talk about it because it shows vulnerability.
This conversation that we are having with you now, a lot of people that have probably followed your journey with you doing content and what you talk about are probably going to see a new side to you. But this side that we're seeing of you now is no different to every other, I guess, fighter that we've spoken to. Like, he's all have such, I guess, similar ideologies. Is that, do you reckon you would say that?
Yeah, and I think that's probably like trained into it through these different disciplines. There is discipline, right? So yeah, I think they do hold very similar ethoses.
Yeah, it's like it's probably part of it's probably been slightly crazy as well, because I guess you've got to convince yourself of all these different things before you go in there and have a fight. You've experienced it yourself, Rob. It's like coming into it, you've got different doubts and you've got different thoughts that creep into your mind, and you got to squash them, and you got to convince yourself otherwise. And that's why for me boxing is like the saving grace, is because I can't lie about it. If I don't train hard enough, then all I am is petrified. If I put the effort and the work in, then I'm excited. All of a sudden I'm excited. I'm still nervous, but I'm excited because I'm like, all right, now I'm prepared. I'm prepared, and and I think that's what fighters all resonate with, is that struggle of like of being afraid, you know. I don't know. I don't want to speak for all fighters. I am definitely afraid, and that's something that like helps me fight. And like sort of, you know, also answer those questions, try and answer some of those questions, those more sort of deeper questions, you know.
Do you think this level of self-awareness kind of came about through the rehab journey?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, when I was like so I first, I always dibbled and dabbled with shit. I'm a degenerate, like I've said multiple times, and I'll say it till the day I die. But I I had experiences with different substance, and then when I lost my self-worth through the use of prescription drugs and ultimately abusing prescription drugs, and I would make the justification in my head that like, oh, I only use these because I'm injured. But then to be another voice in my head that says, but you're not as injured as you say you are. And then there's another justification that had come over me to say, no, like this is what you have to do. You've got no other option. You either do this or you got hit by a car and there'll be no benefit from it. Nothing will come. So that's what continued the abuse with prescriptions. And then ultimately, you know, my family didn't really like hanging around me. I started acting different, and I started sort of losing purpose. I couldn't fight. I couldn't train. I couldn't go to work. And then eventually, you know, it cascaded into other substances. And by the time, you know, I was like using intravenously, and I was living out of a black duffel bag. I had a really close friend. I have a close friend. He's still in and out of addiction at the moment. And that's a tough sort of position to be in as well, because you want to be there for people like that. Because I knew that there was really, apart from people that were in addiction themselves, I didn't really have anyone. Because I was a liability. I'd rob them. I'd take anything from them, you know. So no one would talk to me. And then, you know, I was jumping from place to place, and ultimately, like I met my fiance now, and I realized somebody else cares about me. Somebody else believes in me. And I was in a real bad way as well. So I was like, this is an opportunity, you know, somebody believes in me. And I could start to see the path to believing myself and putting in the effort. And then when I went to rehab, I realized like that there was more to life than just that obnoxious sort of mindset, which is what I grew up with out in Dubbo. Is like who can stay up the longest, who parties the hardest, who fights who's willing to fight when they, like, you know, all those sort of thick-headed mentalities is sort of all that mattered to me, you know. That was all that anyone talked about. And I think like a lot of people still have that shit, you know. It's like if it doesn't burn, like if it burns, I'll smoke it. Like you know, rehabs for quitters, like all these spastic, like even terminologies or sayings that I'd come up with to stay away from it. And then when I went to rehab, I started to delve deep into the spiritual side of things. And I'm not like big on God. I don't really like, you know, I'm not an atheist. I believe there's something out there, but just like doing my best to study the 12 steps, to understand that the addiction inside me was more than just bad luck or bad decisions. You know, there was some deeper shit there. And for me to go to a counselor and sit down like and do sessions like that, there might be some positives there, but I know that like through, like you say, physical exertion, through mental pressure, whether or not it's like fear or, you know, the pressure to perform, dedication, all these things, they force me to improve daily, every single day. I'm forcing myself to improve. So if I look at the using drugs or any of that bullshit, I'm like, that's a backward step. If I look at a big night on the piss, it's a backward step. And they're now the battles that I fight with myself. So this is just an ongoing thing that I'm always, and it's like running an analysis with. I'm always trying to digest it. I'm always trying to be aware of it, because like I feel like I continuously learn from it. And I was, to answer your question again, I go on these big long tangents, but I was just a meathead, bro. I was a meathead, and then I went to rehab and realized like I have to put in some mental effort to answer these questions and to understand this shit.
You've said a couple times you're a self-diagnosed degenerate, right?
Yeah.
Which you're saying almost jokingly now.
Yeah.
But it also took your fiance to kind of believe in you. Do you think there was, back before the addiction sort of spiraled, that you kind of did believe you were a degenerate and there wasn't hope for yourself? You didn't believe in yourself until someone else did. And then that, I guess, spiraled into being reckless, I think, is what we see with guys, because they don't see the future for themselves.
I think it's like it's a series of unfortunate events that can happen that put people in this situation, and it's just like, for me, it was just like the loss of self-worth. It was like thinking I'm less than I was, because I built up this almost like an ego, like this persona, like who I am, and I would always have the discipline, enough discipline to come back to boxing, or to relatively stay away from the bender and all the bullshit. But when you lose self-worth, then your only purpose is like just to basically just to throw yourself further into the flames. You know what I mean? Like there's no positive thinking. There's none of that. It's just like I got to the point where I hated myself. Everyone else hated me, and like I started hating myself, and I would justify my use through anything. It wouldn't matter who it was. I'd take the food out of your children's mouths. I'd take the money out of my family's wallet. You know what I mean? It's like nothing fazed me. So it wasn't until I met my fiance, and I was like overdosing monthly. No one else would pick me up from the hospital but my grandma. You know what I mean? Like I was like proper gutter trash, and she met me, and she sort of dealt with some different things. Her mother is an addict, and she's dealt with different things as well, but I think it was more the fact that I gained back some self-worth. Like when I realized that somebody else cared about me, that it was like, my mum doesn't talk to me. All these people don't talk to me, but like I still am me inside. I'm lost. I'm completely lost. And just like, I think like a sober stint and actually putting in the effort to understanding the addiction is like, that's all you need. You put those two things together, and then you come out of rehab and you realize like, I need to find a purpose. I need to strive for a better life and be better than I was yesterday, because ultimately that's what I was just trying to fucking be the worst me. So, because I hated myself. I think that's what it is, bro. It just takes somebody to have enough belief that they go to rehab, they do a stint in there, they become sober, and if you put enough intellectual effort into it, you'll become aware of all the different like aspects, man, and awareness is the only way to stay sober for me. And I say stay sober, but like I'm cotton mouthed right now, and I'm like trying to like lick my lips and shit, because I still struggle with Yandy. I smoke a fuckload of cones, and I struggle with it, but it's been my vice forever. Like I sort of have like an imposter syndrome. I have this thing where I hate to say that I'm sober, because I'm not, and I want to stop smoking weed, but I can't. So I know.
Do you reckon that by you saying that you can't, is sort of leaving that back door open. You feel like a bit of an excuse.
Yeah, well, I,
Because
haven't been
I
able
reckon
to-
you could.
Yeah, I
You're
haven't been able to-
100%, man. If
yeah.
you got off prescription meds, they're way worse.
I haven't been able to, yeah. But there's the justification. It's almost like it's like for every single addiction, there's a different addict.
Yeah.
So like to give up heroin was one, to give up and then also not just the substance itself, but like the device or the way that you ingest it or consume it is like also another addiction altogether. So like
Like the habit of it.
yeah,
Sweet,
it's
yeah.
sort of like the ritual. It's like a ritual, you know? And it's like if you took the shrine away from like, you know, an Islamic man or whatever who prays 3 times a day or whatever, like he wouldn't know what to do with himself. So it's like it's each issue, each addiction has its own like gatekeeper that I got to overcome, and I haven't been able to see like I haven't been able to be like to overcome the marijuana one yet. He's got too many good justifications for it, and I'm like struggling with it daily. Yeah,
I love that you say yet though.
Yeah.
So like it is in the back of your head that, you know, yeah, it might happen.
yeah. Well, it has to. I mean, I can't be the best me while I'm abusing marijuana. I know that there's this place for it, and if you can use it and not abuse it, then fantastic. You know, you can get the benefits. But I've been abusing it since I was 14 years old, man, and I just like I can't, and I haven't been able to stop, and I'll continue to tell myself it's an issue, it's an issue, it's an issue, because if I didn't, and I just like that would, and I lie to myself, it just lets the justifications become louder, you know. So I don't know, that is something that I'm still struggling with. But if for anyone out there that is struggling, I find like you say that the physical exertion for me, it's fighting. So I know as I build up through fights and I take the hardest fight that I've ever had, I'll force myself to smoke, to stop abusing it. Essentially, like when I was at my peak performance with boxing, I would consume it daily, but like on a way smaller scale, because I would just implement more discipline, you know, because I knew if I didn't, my lungs are no good. At sparring day, I'm getting bashed. I travel multiple hours to get my head punched in, then I've got to drive home and I'm thinking about it. And so then the next week I would implement more discipline and smoke less of it. But I think that for me is what works. If you're not a fighter and you've got an escape some other way, it might be surfing, you know. Well, then go catch the biggest waves and do the maddest barrels or whatever they're called, you know. But like,
It's a bit hard to rip cones out in the water.
yeah, well, I'm sure you
Yeah, plenty of surfers
You know.
do partake.
Yeah.
bucket billies.
Yeah. Just don't push too low.
Look, I think it's just part of the journey you're on. It's like no one can expect done overnight. You're like suddenly completely clean on everything. Like you've come so far, and eventually, yeah, that story might unfold, and I'm sure you'll figure it out. You've overcome bigger things.
That's the hardest thing, bro. Is like I think part of, you know, and it's like when you say, oh, you call yourself diagnosed degenerate, I'm like, I feel like if it wasn't that, it would be something else. But it's just the matter, like, because I'll gamble. Like there's been a heap of different companies that have reached out to me and said, will you promote gambling? And I'm like, I won't promote gambling. I don't like that message. I've got my own message, and that's the only one I want to spread. But I gamble, you know, and like I smoke, and when I'm with my friends, I'll drink, or I find myself doing packets, or you know what I mean. I'll find myself in these situations, but the next day I'm like trying to learn from those experiences, and I'm going, like not again. You know. So I feel like I am always improving. 10 years ago, you know, I'd bender and then back it up, and I had no real responsibilities, and as I add more responsibilities to my plate, then it makes it so that you know, there's less tolerance or less allowance for those slip ups, you know, and you need to make better decisions and more frequently. So I guess that's also part of it, is just a stack in the responsibility.
Yeah, you got to, like, as silly as it sounds or as cliche as it sounds, is you got to replace it with something better.
Yeah.
And drinking and drugs are pretty good. So, it's got to be something that's pretty meaningful, whether it's like starting the Soreheads thing, right? And once that starts getting momentum, suddenly, that becomes more meaningful to you than other stuff. And then you start chipping off the block one thing after another. And we are not preaching by any means. Like, we're on the journeys ourselves.
Yeah, that's it. Well, that's like what we just went down to Sydney and ran the fade hunted. Me and my brother, he's the Punch Flow on Instagram, and together we do the Soreheads thing. We just were in Sydney last week and ran fades for 4 days straight. I think I caught like 15 fades or something like that over 4 days. And during one of those, we went out to this gym, and it's called Extreme Fitness. I should know where it is, but I'm forgetting. So yeah, it's called Extreme Fitness in Concord, and basically it was set up by another guy, Dano. He's an absolute legend for setting it up for me, but it was for charity, and I wouldn't have really known how to set that up if it wasn't for Dan. So I'm really grateful he reached out to me, but I ran a 3-minute round with 6 different blokes, and for each round I raised a couple $100, and then the gym also chucked in 500 at the end. But each round sort of got progressively harder, and we raised it for a charity from Dubbo. They Joey Williams, he's an ex-pro boxer. He's the founder of it, and he looks after like the young Indigenous out there and their culture. And so we were all about that, and we reached out to him. He came and actually did the 5th round with me, and then my brother did the 6th. And he sort of clipped me, probably 45 seconds out of the end of the last round. My brother did, and I was like, I was fatigued and busted. And I just sort of flash knockout, my legs came out, and I just sort of collapsed. And then I woke up and finished the round. And then we gave $1,700 to the young Indigenous out there. That it's called Our Way Academy, and I felt like me and Sam were talking about it for ages, and we're going, I want to do more of every single fade that we go. Like, we're doing the Melbourne trip on the 13th. We land in Melbourne, and we're going to be there till the 17th, running the Fade Hunter series through Melbourne, and during that, we're trying to come up with an idea to raise funds, because we're like, every single time we go to a new place, we want one of those days to be like the main thing around a charity and raising money for something that we love. So it's more like become almost more than just like than an ordinary purpose. Now it's like me and Sam together are able to actually to do real positive shit, not just influence people, individuals, but actually change some people's lives. So
It's more than just content creation. It's like you're actually giving back now.
Yeah, exactly, man. Giving back and creating a bit of a footprint. So, maybe one day we can start our own charity and do things around the world. And, it's a crazy dream, but that's the goal.
Yeah, love it.
I reckon just with the mindset that you have with sort of what you've pulled yourself out of and what you're continuing to do now, you could almost do whatever the fuck you wanted to.
Well, fuck, I appreciate that, brother. And me and Sam talk about it all the time, and it's hard not to get too ambitious, but it has really blown off. I haven't even released any of the fades from Sydney, to be honest. I was still trying to edit the episodes and shit like that. And then when they drop, I think people are going to be surprised at some of the different names and places we were able to grab a hold of. So just for instance, this one's a classic one, and I'm dropping it tomorrow night, so I can talk about this one. Jaden Fidel, there's these Fidel brothers. They're mad boxers from Sydney, and they're mates with Jeff Fennick, and they're pretty sort of prolific lads in the boxing community, and and Joey is the older brother and he's the coach. It's sort of the same dynamic as me and my brother. He's the older brother and he's the coach, and the younger brother's 4-0, up and coming like talent. He's big prospect, and he's got a fight coming up. And we met in Belmore at this place called Joe Bell's Cafe, which is like, it's a viral cafe because they support the Bulldogs, and they got like all Bulldogs merchandise, flags and everything there. And they even do like all the game nights. They've got fucking, barbecues out the front. They have everyone down there. And I don't know if you know Belmore, but it like Belmore, I think it's called Belmore Street or Belmore something. And it's like a famous street, and it always pumps during Bulldogs games. And so we knew that the Bulldogs like are in the finals, and we're just trying to G it up. So we met at Joe Bell's Cafe, and then she came out the front and she was like, "Oh yeah, I know you, and I want to jump in with it." So she's cleared out the entire restaurant, and like we moved all the tables and chairs and everything, and then ran it in the middle of the cafe.
That's cool. Just being able to get opportunities like that's pretty unreal.
Like all the patrons and that are all like standing out front, like in the windows and shit, looking through. So yeah, like, and then that was on day 3, and then we got another opportunity like that on day 4, and now people are starting to reach out on socials about doing similar stuff, which is crazy, you know. I just thought it would just like running fades and whatever, but now people are all jumping on board, you know.
Yeah, no, once the ball starts rolling, man, you just got to grab it, roll with it, and see where you can take it.
Yeah, that's it.
Rob said before that he thinks you can do whatever you want. And I agree. But I think with you, like, you need that, right? Like you said, you're still thinking about stuff, setting those goals, like, as high as you possibly can. Get ambitious with it. And I reckon that's what's going to keep you just, like, rocketing forward.
The hardest part about it is just, like, trying to balance, man, because, like, I got 2 kids, got a fiance, we're renovating our house, we own a business together. We moved here like 21 months ago from over 1,000 k's away in the sticks. I got a little sister that lives on the sunny coast. My brother lives in Sydney. My mum still lives in Dubbo. So it's like, it's difficult to balance it. You know what I mean? Like, I had it in my reminders to be here at 5:30 today. You know what I mean? And then like, then I get stuck on the phone talking to my brother because I haven't uploaded the ad reads for this YouTube thing, the episode 1 that's like coming out, that's meant to be getting edited, and then then fiance's carrying on because I haven't started cooking dinner, and then I've got to pick the kids up, and then that starts to interfere, and that it's just sort of that same thing every day. And I think anybody that chases their dreams deals with this, is like the balance of chasing your passion and everyday responsibilities.
That hits me so fucking hard. So hard, because it's the same thing. It's like, you got kids, you're like, yep, I want to be a good dad for the kids. You got a missus, you want to be a good partner for your missus. You're chasing your passion and what your purpose is now with Soreheads, but you got bills to pay, so you have to keep working, and you're trying to juggle everything. You're just like, I've only got so many fucking hands, so I can't juggle all this shit.
Yeah, that's right. And like, if I just went away for a week and she did like a lot of the work, but the stuff that I had to do when I get home, catch up. And so it's only just the start of the week, but it feels like I've front loaded a whole week into the front of my week, and now I've still got to finish the end of the week. Plus I've, Mundine's got his bare knuckle card this weekend, so I'm heading up to Brizzy to do a bit of a promo thing with those guys. And if there's an opportunity, I'll jump at it, because it's like, I'll just make it work. We're also doing, me and Sam have got like a thing. We've got a bunch of mates that we grew up with around like Ocean Shores, Brunswick Heads area, and we're called like MCF. We just call each other MCF. It means my chosen family, and they're legends, but we're all the same. We're all degenerates, and more often than not, there's probably been like negative influences. So we're trying to flip the switch. We're all older now. Those boys are older than me. Like, a lot of us have got families, and we're trying to flip the switch, because like a ton of them live down in Sydney near Sam, and a lot of them still live up here. And whenever we get together, it's always like a big night or a big weekend or some sort of event. So we're like, well, let's flip the switch. Let's change it. Let's give the boys a reason to train. So on the 13th of February, we're throwing this MCF fight night, or Soreheads MCF fight night. And it's, it's like not open to the public or anything like that. We've got just like a private bit of land, and we've got like generators, smoke machines. We're building this sort of, it's basically just like a podium, it'll be like a gymnastic podium. You stand up in there and it's like 7 meters. And then I've been training the boys up here, so I'm traveling down on a Monday, training all the lads. I've got a group of 11. Sam's down there. He's got an even bigger group. He's got like a group of 12, 13, 14. So I'm trying to find extra boys, but boxing's like, if you set up 12 fights, you might end up with 9, Anyway, we're training all the boys up every single week. We get together, we train, and in a few months, we're going to like meet somewhere halfway and run sparring matches. And then we're going to match all the boys up. And then on the 13th of February, we're all going to get together and all the boys are going to punch on. We'll match them up. They'll punch on, but we're going to set it up so it's like a legitimate night, and but it's just for us. It's not for the general public. It's not to make money. Like it's going to cost us an arm and a leg, But if that's what it takes to get the boys disciplined, to get the boys focused on something positive, and to get them together doing some shit that makes us better men, better dads, and better everything you described, then I'm that's what I want to do. So that's like another difficult thing is driving down there, training the boys, getting them ready for a fight. But ultimately, that's helping those guys to be better, or, be more balanced and all those sorts of things. Cause I think we all struggle with that same shit.
I think if you're giving them something to aim towards too, and this is something that I've sort of learnt after my fight, from, I guess, maybe like November last year up until April, trained my ring out. Because I had, this is the goal. I think I've put on like 7 kilos since me fight, because I've just been slack, eh?
Yeah, and not just that, but it's also like I reckon boxers get eating disorders. Because did you have to like starve yourself?
Nah, I wasn't dieting right though. Like I was sitting in a massive deficit.
Yeah.
But then the fitter that I got, I realized that I needed to up my intake, because I'd get like halfway through a session
and you couldn't finish.
I couldn't fucking do anything.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I am not eating right now.
Yeah.
So
that's really why. Yeah. And that's the same with me. It's like, when I first started this, I was 102 kilos, and now I'm about 84. And I think it's been less than 2 months, I think, like, to be honest. And, I started with a 7-day water fast, and that's sort of what happens is like, I'll get into box and lose a ton of weight. And then I'd like develop an eating issue where I'm like starving myself all the time, telling the family they're not allowed to have sweets in the cupboards and shit, because I can't have temptations. And then like I'll stop fighting, and then I just like, I'll order 2 pizzas, I'll get 3 Golden Gate times, I go all out. I reckon a lot of boxers, they've developed these eating disorders from being so strict and being so disciplined for so long.
No eating disorder.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong there.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's not like a boxer will be, they look sick on weigh day, but apart from that, they're like, they're gonna maintain their weight, right? But soon as they don't have to fight, and like,
if they got time off,
if there's like no fight in the foreseeable future, they'll blow up.
Yeah,
it's because they've been so strict and they haven't been able to eat what they want. I think it's getting better now because there's like more science behind it. There's like the fight dietitian, and you see, he'll like upload stuff, and you're like, oh, I'd actually be satisfied with that for a day's worth of food.
That's odd, because we had Geordie on like early. We had a chat with him, and he gave me like an 8 or a 12-week plan, like diet, and like he sent it through to me, and I was like, shit, this is gonna be rough. Nah, it was good. That's like good feed, hey. And like I felt full all the time, but yeah, like I dropped weight real quick on it. And I think that's the thing that Like, so many people think that they have to diet to lose weight, and they just have to either not eat fuck all or eat shit food.
Yeah.
And it's not the case. If you're eating the right food, like, you can stay full the entire time. But yeah, it's when you try and do it yourself, it makes it very difficult. And that's when I found out I wasn't having an energy.
Well, I think consumption is a big thing for me. Like, as I've sort of described, like, I've found different vices, different things that I sort of lean on. And when you're like deep in training, you know, you're not smoking cigarettes. I'm smoking less billies. I'm having less everything. You know, I'm having less food. So I guess like I get this feeling of like empty. I've been empty. You know, of like wanting to consume more, but like not being able to. So as soon as I stop fighting, I'm like give me beers, give me ciggies, give me food, and I just consume and consume. I have like a real issue with it. So that's, I don't know, I probably struggle with this sort of shit more than most, and that's why I just have come to the conclusion that I have to fight.
Just keep fighting.
Yeah.
Always something on the go.
Active personality.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
That's all it
it's
is.
a mix between that. It's the addict side and the sportsman side.
Yeah.
Because you see it with all pro sportsmen. They kind of
Yeah.
blow out a little bit after they
You're right.
retire.
They do, yeah.
Yeah.
Not a pro.
We're about out of time on this one.
Yeah,
So we're going to have to wrap it up. But thanks so much for coming in, sharing your story. And I'm sure a lot of the boys are going to resonate with all aspects of that.
Appreciate you having me, boys.
Yeah.
Legends.
No, I can't thank you enough, bro. Honestly, I think your story being told here is going to be, I think, unreal for everyone listening because, like I said, they don't see this side of you usually. It's just like some fucking loose unit.
Yeah,
punch
streaming at the
everyone.
camera.
But
Yeah.
like, there is so much more to you than, just pump at Soreheads.
Nah, thanks for giving me the platform to share it, eh?
No, appreciate it, brother.
All his links down below, so go check him out. By the time this drops, there's going to be a bunch of those things he was talking about, so check them out, and there'll be plenty more coming in the future.
Do you want to say pump at Soreheads to that one before I sign out?
Yeah. Pump it, Soreheads.
Be better. Thanks for tuning in. If you got anything out of this, be sure to show some love on whatever it is that you're listening on, and follow us across all our socials.
If you want to know more, head to betterblokeproject.org, where you can learn about the programs we deliver, find out about upcoming events, and donate to the cause of building better blokes.